Hello guys, I'm Pooja. Welcome back to my channel. So what is today's topic? Today we are going to discuss about 5 skincare mistakes that we all have done, including me, especially in our teenage years. And I believe there are a lot of people who are still committing these mistakes, and this video is for them. So starting with number 1. So number 1 is not reading the ingredients list properly. So we have seen so many product campaigns going on. Every now and then a new product is getting launched. So there are a lot of marketing campaigns are going on behind each and every product, right? And we have all fallen into claims like getting fair in 7 days, getting rid of dark spots in 3 days, so on and so forth. Okay. So, but the thing is, we need to really understand what ingredients are actually going into that product so that it can stand up to its claims. So, say if a product is making a claim like it is going to reduce the dark spots in 3 days, so it should contain certain ingredients which has the ability to reduce the dark spots, right? So we cannot just go and see an advertisement and just buy the product saying that okay, we'll get that result. So we also need to, as a consumer, we also need to understand the product ingredients. We need to turn the product and learn about its label. Yes, that is one thumb rule. We can remember that. And as an informed consumer, as we'll understand the ingredients, so we can make a proper decision that whether this product can do its job decently or not, and so that we can either buy that product or leave it, right? So we need to remember this. And also just an example, like we have seen many products which are saying like it will do this, do that, and it's completely natural, 100% natural, herbal. So these are certain terms which are used in this skincare world a lot, right? But if you see those specific brand, if you see the products, if you turn the product and see the ingredients which are going in, you will be a bit surprised because when a product is claiming that it's 100% natural, so all the ingredients should be natural. Okay, a little bit of preservative chemical is good enough, that's absolutely acceptable. But when a product is claiming 100% natural but the 5% ingredients are natural and 95% ingredients are completely full of chemicals or sometimes completely hidden. Yes, it is sometimes hidden under an umbrella as base QS. You must have seen in some of the products. And in many brands, what they do is they don't even bother to mention the entire ingredient list. There are so many brands in the market. I won't name any particular brand, but there are a lot of brands who just mention the key ingredients. They don't write ingredients. They will write key ingredients and they will just mention 5 to 6 key ingredients in that particular product, and the rest everything will be hidden. So when a brand is not bothered enough or responsible enough to at least declare all the ingredients, so in that case we cannot trust that kind of brand, right? When it's not informing its users that what are the ingredients it's putting into, and at the same time it's claiming that it's 100% safe, 100% naturals and all herbal ingredients, having some therapeutic properties, aroma properties. I hope you get some clue. Okay, so anyways, so the thumb rule or the conclusion of this is just turn the product and learn about its label. So having said that, let's move to point number 2. So point number 2 is believing anything natural is good and at the same time anything chemical is bad. So I think majority of us will agree to this point that we have heard from people around us while growing up in the teenage years or so that apply natural things, natural ingredients, natural products, that is good. Especially the natural raw ingredients, those are good for our skin. And it's not, I'm not denying to the fact that natural is bad, but I am denying to this fact that all natural are good, right? So there is a difference between the two. When there are a lot of natural products out there in the kitchen, we tend to apply each one of them thinking that okay, if it's natural, it's good, it has to be good. But sorry to say, there will be so many ingredients which we eat, which is there in our kitchen, which are not good for our skin. For example, lemon. Yeah. So if you apply a raw lemon juice in your skin, you may be burning your skin. It can cause severe burns because lemon is extremely acidic and it shouldn't be applied directly. So you cannot apply lemon. I don't think so. You can apply lemon, though there will be a lot of group of people who will be saying that we shouldn't apply lemon to our skin. But I guess what they meant is we shouldn't apply raw lemon or the raw lemon juice directly in our skin. If we dilute it with a base, either in a face pack, little 2 to 3 drops of lemon juice, it won't harm, right? Or if we dilute it in say a toner or a any kind of mask which we apply in our home, so that won't damage our skin, okay? But if we apply it directly, yes, it can. And there are so many natural things which are not good for our skin, like rubbing sugar, rubbing salt, rubbing whatnot. I mean, I have literally seen people apply Eno to the skin to get a fair complexion, and then applying lemon on top of it, which makes the entire solution extremely acidic. And even I have seen in YouTube only, I have seen people applying roti, normal Ateka roti, which we make in our home, applying that roti, making a paste, a powder out of it, and applying that. So there are a lot of people who applies anything and everything which is available in our kitchen, and I am against that thing. So as an Indian, we have a really strong heritage of our Ayurveda, and we have some great formulations and mixtures of different powerful herbs which really works wonder for our skin, for our hair, which we truly call the Dadi Nani Ka Nuska. Yes, and we all must have used something or the other since our childhood for our skin and hair, and we have seen the difference. At least I have seen a lot of difference when I've applied some kind of remedy which has been suggested by my mom or my grandmom to apply in my skin or my hair, and it has really worked. Okay, so I'm not at all against all these remedies, all these formulations which are prescribed in our Ayurveda or which has been passed down through the generations, and we really got to know all these nuskas which we say as an Indian. But at the same time, we need to understand that anything which is available in our kitchen, anything which is available naturally, applying that to our skin or hair won't help. So it would do more damage than good in most of the time. So we need to just differentiate between the two. And now talking about the chemicals. So hearing chemicals, like people go really mad. Okay, I don't want to put anything chemical on my skin, on my hair, this, that, lot of things, right? But we need to understand that all chemicals are not bad, right? There are certain good chemicals, some bad chemicals, right? So when we say about good chemicals, there are good chemicals like vitamin C, there are good chemicals like niacinamide, alpha-butene, hyaluronic acid, AHAs, BHAs. There are so many things which are great for our skin, right? But at the same time, there will be certain harmful chemicals which comes under the fragrances group, which is artificial fragrances, colors. There are some chemicals which don't work good for most of the skin, like hydroquinone, and which will sometimes get affected in a long run. So if you apply those kind of creams which are having these kind of chemicals, so in the long run, maybe in the first 1 month or 2 months, maybe 1 year, you won't have any side effects, but in the long run they can have a huge impact in our skin, which we may not understand it today. So we need to just differentiate between the two, and according to me, we need to be a little bit inclusive in the sense we need to get the best of the both worlds. I'm not into one group who are just into DIYs. At the same time, I am not into that group who are completely against DIYs. Okay, so I am someone who wants to be a bit inclusive to get the best of both worlds. So what we will do is, we will do some amazing DIYs which really works for our skin, which are genuine formulations, which I have learned from my elders, or I have tried and tested for a really long time. At the same time, we will also include some of the very good chemicals which are really great for our skin, for our hair, and we will try to get the best of both, right? So we will definitely share in the upcoming videos some of the amazing DIYs. At the same time, I'll definitely recommend some of the great chemicals which we can use for our skin, for our hair, for different problems, issues that we face on a daily basis, for different skin types, hair types, everything we'll cover. Okay, don't worry. So having said that, now let's move to point number 3. Point number 3 is a bit tricky. Like I guess most of us are not much aware of this point, is knowing our skin pH and using products accordingly. So many a times we have used products which are not of our skin pH, be it cleansers, scrubs, toners, etc. So now what is skin pH? So we have a skin pH of 5 to 6. So there are products which are extremely alkaline, there are products which are extremely acidic. Okay, So if we see a pH scale, we will understand if it is more than 7, so it will be a little bit acidic. So if it is less than that, it will be a little bit alkaline. So our skin pH lies actually between 5 to 6, and we have experienced, at least I have experienced before a lot of times, especially in my teenage years, using a cleanser or using a toner is extremely drying out our skin, right? After using the cleanser, you feel very much like a stretching kind of feel to our skin. So this happens mostly when we use some product which is not of our skin pH. So we need to understand, the best way to understand is to take a pH strip from any chemist shop and use your product. If you are using a cleanser which you feel it's a bit drying, or a toner which is a bit dry, you can just put a drop. If the color doesn't change, if it is like yellowish only, so that means it's completely safe, it's the skin pH only. If it becomes red or something, then it's definitely not of our skin pH, and that is the reason that it is causing the problem. Okay, so we need to understand that, and we need to use products accordingly. So having said that, now let's move to point number 4. Now point number 4 is trying to DIY everything. And if you do not know what is DIY means do it yourself. Okay, so there are a lot of people I have seen that they try to DIY each and every product, be it a cream, be it toner, be it sunscreen, be it serums, everything. So there is no harm to, first of all I want to clarify that, okay, there is no harm to DIY stuff, but we need to understand one thing. There are certain products which we cannot DIY. Why? Because it's very simple, we are not qualified to do such kind of formulations. So there are experienced people who do these kind of formulations for products, and the formulation, the percentage of each ingredient is extremely important. And also it's not about just the mixing all the ingredients together, it's about to get the right formulations, which we cannot do it ourselves at our home always. Okay, but having said that, there are a lot of items that we can DIY. Having said that, so there are a lot of products which I have DIYed myself, and I have given to my friends, family, relatives, and all have really loved it. But I haven't tried to DIY each and every products. There are certain products which we cannot do it. So what are those products? First is sunscreen. Yes, we cannot really make a sunscreen at home. If you search in YouTube or something, Google, you will get a lot of recipes of sunscreen. Okay, but the thing is, it's really difficult to get all the ingredients right. Like the main ingredient which will protect our skin from the UVA or UVB rays, such as like a zinc oxide. So to buy that good quality zinc oxide is one thing, and then again to have that correct formulation of the sunscreen so that the consistency is correct, that is another challenge. Okay, and at the end of the day, the effort, the amount of money we will put in all this will not be worthful. So better is to go for a good medicated sunscreen which we will be getting in any medical shop. There are so many good sunscreens out there, and we can use any one of them instead of trying to do a DIY sunscreen. Okay, and there are a lot of other DIYs also, like the serums. Okay, I know there are a lot of famous YouTubers who have done kind of serum like a vitamin C serum or a hyaluronic acid serum. So we need to also understand here, vitamin C is very unstable. You are doing a serum out of a vitamin C tablet that we eat, which is there in the chemist shop. And I have seen also people using the chewable vitamin C, which is very sticky, which has sugar in it. I don't know how come a person can apply that kind of serum, especially in the morning when you're going outside. You cannot apply something heavy, and I cannot think of applying something which is sticky, which has sugar in it, which will, like, if you touch it will be completely sticky. So I don't know how people are making serums out of that chewy tablet, and also the unsugared one, the white vitamin C tablets. So people have done DIY serums out of that as well. But the thing is, vitamin C is extremely unstable, and companies are also really struggling to get different stable versions of the vitamin C. So vitamin C is basically the ascorbic acid, and which is really unstable. So there are different derivatives of the ascorbic acid, and companies are really trying out. So there are a lot of companies which are trying out with different derivatives to see that which of the derivative is extremely stable, which is potent, and it has a high chance to get oxidized within say a month or sometime 2 months, depends on the formulation. And generally that is the reason vitamin C is mostly packaged in a dark bottle, and it is also kept away from, I mean it's told to kept away from sunlight so that it won't get oxidized easily. So when the company is taking all these precautions and they are also trying hard, it cannot be that much easy just to buy a 10 rupees vitamin C tablet and mixing in a rose water and applying it, saying that okay, yes, I have created a vitamin C serum. You don't have to invest 1,000 rupees for a vitamin C serum. It's just made in rupees 10. But those are not at all effective, and believe me when I'm saying this, because I have tried it all. So these are not effective. Don't try to do it. And there are other chemicals as well, like hyaluronic acid, niacinamide. That is also not achievable at all, because at least in case of vitamin C, you get some source in the chemist shop, like the tablets or something. But in case of hyaluronic acid or niacinamide, you won't get anything, the raw material itself to prepare that serum. So please don't think of doing DIYs, all these stuff. So there are certain good stuff, like the good chemicals which I was talking about, which we will definitely need to buy, and there will be certain great DIYs which we'll definitely share. So both things I'll share in the upcoming videos. And now, having said that, let's move to the last point, which is point number 5. Point number 5 is we don't really have the habit to patch test the new product. So whenever, I also didn't do it long back when I was in college, when I was in school. Whenever I used to buy a new product, I used to directly apply, and sometimes the product didn't suit me, and I had certain allergies out of it. Okay, it happens to all of us, right? We have there are so many products. It will never suit all skin types. So some products can suit a certain group of people, while the other products will suit the other. The product which suits my skin does not necessarily suit yours. Just remember one thing, skincare is very subjective. Whenever someone is recommending something and you have the what I would say urge to buy that product and try it out, definitely do it. I won't tell you that don't do that. Of course do that. When the product is delivering good results for someone, you should definitely go ahead and try that if it suits your skin. For that, definitely do a patch test. How to do the patch testing? You can do patch testing here at this position of your hand, or you can do back of your ear. So you can apply the products, leave it, see for one day how it is reacting. Just try it for a couple of days. If your skin is absolutely fine, there is no reactions, no allergies, you can definitely go ahead to try this product. Otherwise, there can be a lot of unnecessary problems which we don't want, right? So now we are done. If you have really liked this video, and if you have learned at least one mistake in your skincare routine, please give a big fat thumbs up right in the comment section below, and please subscribe to my channel. This is Pooja signing off. Bye bye.